Okay, if I'm not mistaken, we left off yesterday at E. And E is different than the others. Why is it different than the others? Why is it different than the other ones we saw? Like if you look at C up there, there's something different between C and E. Even though they look like they're kind of like there's 3 terms and 2 terms, they're both being divided. What's different? It's not in standard form. And that's one of the key things to this, is that each one of these we are going to write in standard form. So here's what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by just rewriting this. So let's rewrite this first trinomial as in standard form. How am I going to rewrite it in standard form? Yes, sir.
X squared.
X squared? Negative x squared.
And then negative 2x.
Negative 2x.
And 6.
And a positive 6. So that has got to be in standard form or this doesn't work. What about this one? Is it good?
Negative x.
Negative x plus 2, because it's a positive 2. Now we can do everything exactly the same, and I'm going to move through it a little faster today because we are on a shortened period, but also we've already done this. So now everything is okay. I'm going to go and divide. I've got negative x squared minus 2x plus 6 divided by negative x plus 2. Same as always. I'm going to say, how many times does negative x go into negative x squared? Or, if you prefer, negative x times what will give me negative x squared?
Positive.
A positive x. X times negative x gives me
Negative x squared.
negative x squared. And x times 2 gives me
2x.
2x. Negative x minus x squared. So think about it as negative x squared minus negative x squared. So we're subtracting both of these. What does that become? A negative x squared plus x squared.
Wouldn't that be 0?
It's 0. This is why we have to be real careful. It's very easy to get mixed up in these. Now watch this next one. We've got negative 2x. This one looks like 0. I'm going to tell you, it looks like 0. Negative 2x and a positive 2x. However, it's negative 2x minus 2x. What is negative 2x minus 2x? Negative 4x. It's very easy to get caught in this trap when you're doing that. After I put that negative 4x down there, what is my next step? We're going to bring down that 6. And now we're going to say, how many times does negative x go into negative 4x? Or negative x times what would give me negative 4x? A positive 4. Positive 4 times negative x. Let me just clear this out of the way. We've got positive 4 times negative x will give me negative 4x. And positive 4 times positive 2 will be positive 8. I'm going to subtract both of those things. Negative 4x minus 4x gives me 0. 6 minus 8 gives me negative 2. What's my next step?
2 would be your numerator.
Okay,
X plus 4 would be your denominator.
Ooh, careful with that one. You're real close. This is the remainder. It's negative 2, which will be the numerator. So that's going to be the numerator of my remainder. What is the denominator of my remainder? Okay, negative x plus 2.
I'm going to notice this on 2 minus x.
Yes, I know. So what's going to happen here is that what they have written there is negative 2. Now notice they have a positive 2 out front and a negative x after that. Same exact thing.
Can you just change it to what it was before?
Either one of those is perfectly fine.
Okay.
But that is just the remainder. What about the rest of this? That's just the remainder.
Oh, you have to put on the negative x squared minus 2.
Where is the actual answer part, the whole number part that I need here? X plus 4. That's the first part I should be writing every time. X plus 4 minus 2 over 2 minus x. Okay, let's divide some more polynomials. Talk to me. What's wrong with this polynomial, first of all? Something's wrong with it. It's not in standard form. How do I correct it?
Change it to negative z squared plus z.
And how should I change the other one? You don't. It's fine. The highest power of z is still first there, so I didn't need to change it. It is perfectly fine. Okay, so one of the things we're going to do is we're going to go negative z squared plus 9z. Now, we normally have a number at the end, so I'm just going to put plus 0 there. Like, because we normally have z to the second power, z to the first power, like whatever we started with, we go all the way down. So I'm going to put a plus 0 there because I know that I have a whole number that I'm going to have to deal with. So I'm just adding on this right there so I know I have something there. I've got z to the second power, z to the first power, and that whole number there, that linear term there, is my z to the 0 power. On the outside, I'm going to have z minus 3.
You didn't need to add the 0.
You do, and I'll show you why. If we don't have the 0, then when we get a whole number in there, it's not going to have anything to add or subtract with if we don't put it in there.
Okay.
All right, so z times what will give me negative z squared? You see I'm not doing arrows anymore. At this point, I'm going to think that we can do this without 0. Z times what will give me negative z squared? Negative z. I'm going to change colors here just so this stands out. Negative z. Negative z times z gives me what? Okay, now what am I going to do after that? Negative z times what? And negative z times negative 3? Positive 3z. And what will I do with those two things? Subtract them. Negative z squared minus negative z squared gives me? 9z minus 3z gives me? You see where I wouldn't have anything to bring down here, but I still do. I have that 0 to bring down. So I'm going to bring down this 0. How many times does z go into 6z? 6 times. 6 times z is 6z. And 6 times negative 3? Negative 18. We would have had nothing for that negative 18 to go with if I didn't have that 0 to hold the place there. So 6z minus 6z is 0. And 0, this is a tough one, 0 minus negative 18 gives me what? Positive 18. It's very easy to write negative 18 there. It's not negative 18 because we are subtracting a negative, and when we subtract a negative, it becomes positive 18. How do I write this answer? Well, let's start with the whole part first. Let's always do our remainder last.
Alright, so then it would be negative z plus 6.
Okay, so we've got negative z plus 6.
And then you put
18 is the numerator.
and then you put
Z minus 3 as the denominator. Perfect. Okay, 2 more and we are done. Let's talk about what's wrong with this one. So what's wrong with this problem? Is there anything wrong with it? Can we just go? What's wrong with it? Anything? No? So we can just work? Okay, perfect. Because it is in standard form, right? That's what we're checking for. So 4t squared minus 4t plus 1. Let me move this down. Sorry, I just want a little extra space there. So 4t squared minus 4t plus 1 divided by 2t plus 1. So where am I starting here? Where's my first step? 2t, and what about 2t?
It would be 2t. You would put on the top 2t plus 2t times 2t.
Okay, so 2t times what goes, 2t times what will give me 4t squared? That would be 2t. 2t times 2t is 4t squared. 2t times 2t is 4t squared. And then what is the other thing I'm going to do? 2t times what?
1.
Times 1, which will give me positive 2t. Okay, from there I've got my second line done. What am I going to do next?
Subtract.
We're going to subtract. 4t squared minus 4t squared gives me 0. And negative 4t minus a positive 2t. Negative 4t minus 2t. Negative 6t.
And then you go on the 1.
Bring down the 1. 2t times what will give me negative 6t? A negative 3. Negative 3 times 2t is negative 6t. So we get negative 3 times 2t is negative 6t. And negative 3 times 1? Negative 3. Negative 6t minus negative 6t. 0. 1 minus negative 3. 4. 1 minus negative 3 is 4. How do I write this answer?
You would put 2t minus 3.
2t minus 3
And then 4 would be your numerator.
plus 4. We need a plus there. It needs to be plus or minus there so we know if we're adding or subtracting it.
And the denominator is 2t plus 1.
2t plus 1. Okay, is this in standard form? Okay, perfect. So let's just go forward here. We've got 6u squared plus 7u plus 5 divided by 3u minus 1. Brooke, you want to take this one for me? Cool. Okay, what we're doing is 3u times what would give me 6u squared? Don't look at the notes. Just use your, like, 3u, like, look, think of it like this. 3u times something will give me 6u squared. What is that something? What must the number be? 2. The number must be 2. And u times what would give me u squared? U. So what we need is 2u. Okay, so now we're going to take that 2u and we're going to distribute it here. 2u times 3u is 6u squared. 2u times negative 1 is? Negative 2u. And now with this new line, just like with normal division, I am going to subtract these two things. 6u squared minus 6u squared is? 0. And now this one, be careful with. 7u minus negative 2u. So sometimes 7u minus negative 2u. What does that become? They become positive. 9u. Now, in normal division, what would I do with, what is my next step in normal division? Bring the 5 down. Now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go 3u goes into 9u how many times? Or 3u times what would give me 9u? 3. Times 3, so there's a positive 3. And 3 times 3u is 9u. And 3 times negative 1 is? Negative 3. Let's subtract. 9u minus 9u? 0. And 5 minus negative 3. Right there. 8. It's 8 because that becomes positives. This ends up as 8. Positive 8. Now, do you know how to write the final answer? No. Okay, so this part up here is what we are always going to write first. So we've got 2u, oops, that's not a pencil, 2u plus 3. And now this part is our remainder. It is actually the numerator of our remainder. And do you know where I get the denominator? From right here. 3u minus 1. Okay, that is like everything you are going to see in the homework there. So you'll be able to go through them. In one of the homework problems, if you find out that you are missing, like here this started, like let's say that this wasn't here. Let's say that there was no 7u there. You need to make sure that if you started with u squared, that there are u's. So like here we've got 6u squared. And actually, you know, when we get to the homework problem, I don't want to make up a scenario here because my numbers are going to end up weird. If you get to one that looks a little strange in the homework, show it to me because we still have time in here. We'll do those while we're in here. So take the rest of this time, work on your homework. Remember, it's all due Monday.